Hello and welcome to my channel. In today's tutorial I will be showing you how to crochet a bee. If you've never crocheted before, I would recommend checking out my playlist of videos for beginners. I have linked this down in the description as well as the PDF pattern and crochet kit. Now let's get started. To begin, you'll be grabbing your yellow yarn. You will now be chaining 2 and this will be the beginning of your magic ring. So chain 1 and then chain 2. And then working in the second chain from the hook, you'll be single crocheting 6 times to make your magic ring. So 1 and then single crocheting in the exact same stitch, 2 and then 4 more times to create 6. Once you've made your magic ring, very gently pull the tail and that will close your magic ring. For the next round, you will be increasing into each stitch. So you'll be increasing into each of these 6 stitches. If you are not sure how to increase, I would recommend checking out my beginner tutorial playlist, as I have a playlist of every single technique used in this video. Just a reminder that the number that you see in brackets is the number of stitches that you should have in your round once you are finished. So for this round, once you have increased into each stitch, you should be left with 12 stitches. So for the next round, you'll be single crocheting into the next stitch and then increasing into the next. Overall, you'll be repeating this 6 times and you should be left with 18 stitches. So single crochet and then increase into the next stitch. And again, single crocheting and then increasing into the next. Overall, repeating this 6 times and you should be left with 18 stitches. For the next round, you'll be single crocheting into the next 2 stitches and then increasing into the next. Overall, repeating this 6 times for 24 stitches. So, single crocheting in 1 stitch, and then the second stitch, and then increasing in the 3rd stitch. And again, single crocheting, single crochet again, and then increase. Overall, repeating this 6 times for 24 stitches in your round. In the next round, you will be single crocheting into the next 3 stitches and then increasing into the next, repeating this 6 times for 30 stitches in your round. So single crochet, single crochet a second time, and a 3rd time, and then increase in the 4th. So again, single crochet a second time, and a 3rd, and then increase. Repeat this 6 times overall for 30 stitches in your round. So for the next few rounds, we are going to be single crocheting, and this is what is going to build up the height of the body. This is also where we are going to start colour changing to start the black stripes. So now I recommend adding your stitch marker, and you can add your stitch marker just underneath the stitch that has the loop. And this is what will help you not lose track of how many rounds that you have done. So now that you have your stitch marker, you can grab your hook and insert it back in, just gently pull the yarn and it will tighten around your hook. So for the next 2 rounds, we are just going to be single crocheting in every single stitch of the round. So all 30 stitches we will be single crocheting into, and we will be doing this for 2 whole rounds in the yellow yarn. So as you can see, I have just finished my first round of single crochets, and I will be doing that exact same thing again. So 1 more round of single crocheting. So overall you would have single crocheted for 2 whole rounds. So now we are going to do our first colour change to the black yarn. So insert your hook and then grab your black yarn. So what you're going to do is you're going to wrap your black yarn around your finger and then pull the yellow yarn forward. So this way you'll be single crocheting around that yellow yarn. So what you're going to do is you're going to yarn over the black and pull it through. Yarn over again, pull through, and now you'll just have black on your hook and you have done your first colour change. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be keeping that yellow yarn tail forward and then insert your hook into the next stitch and single crochet. So keep single crocheting in your black yarn, and when you have single crocheted around the yellow yarn about 4 to 5 times, you will cut it. And what this does is it just makes sure that this yellow yarn is secure and it won't unravel. So just cut this after about 4 to 5 stitches and then just continue on with single crocheting in your black yarn. You'll be single crocheting into each stitch for 2 rounds. So I have just finished my first round of single crochets in black, and now I'm going to repeat the exact same thing and do a second round of single crochets in black. So now that you have done your 2 rounds of black, you will be colour changing back to yellow. So grab your yellow yarn and yarn over, making sure that the black tail is kept forward. Yarn over again, pull through, and you now have yellow on your hook. And you'll be single crocheting into each stitch for 2 rounds. Remember that you will be single crocheting around this piece of black yarn for about 4 to 5 stitches and then cutting off, the exact same as you done when you did your first colour change. So now that you are done with your 2 rounds of yellow, you will now be colour changing back to black and doing another 2 rounds of single crocheting in the black yarn. So grab your black yarn, make sure the yellow tail is pulled forward. You can also stuff the little extra tails into the body so they don't get in your way. Yarn over again, pull through, and now you have the black. So single crocheting into each stitch for 2 rounds, all in black yarn. So now that you have finished your 2 rounds of black single crochets, you will now be doing your very last colour change, and you'll be colour changing to yellow. So yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through again, and you will have the yellow on your hook. And now you'll be doing 2 rounds of single crocheting in yellow. Okay, so now you should be finished with making the stripes for your bee, and I will just go through with you what you have. So you should have a yellow stripe, a black stripe, a yellow stripe, a black stripe, a yellow stripe, and then the yellow increases. Now remove your hook and remove your stitch marker, as we are now going to be inserting the eyes. When inserting the left eye, I would recommend that the eye and the sort of zigzaggy line that you have of colour changes is lined up, because that is where we are going to sew the wing on, so that you won't be able to see them colour change lines. Take the backs of your eyes and just very gently push them on. You should hear about 2 to 3 clicks. And perfect, just tuck any of the extra tails in so they don't get in your way, and insert your hook again. Just pull gently and that will tighten around the hook. So for the next round, we will be single crocheting into the next 3 stitches and then decreasing in the next stitch. So overall, repeating this 6 times. So single crochet 1, 2, 3, and then decreasing. So overall you'll be repeating this 6 times and you should have 24 stitches in your round. And again, single crochet 1, single crochet 1, 2, 3, and then decrease. So in the next round, we will be single crocheting in the next 2 stitches and then decreasing in the next. Repeating this 6 times overall for 18 stitches in your round. So single crochet once, and then a second time, and then decrease. Remember, decreasing is joining 2 stitches together. Single crochet 1, 2, and decrease. So at this point, I would recommend removing your hook and stuffing your bee. When stuffing, make sure that you are pushing stuffing to the bottom so that it fills out the face and the eyes. Okay, now that you have stuffed your bee, let's get back to crocheting. So insert your hook again and then just gently pull that. So for the next round, we'll be single crocheting into the next stitch and then decreasing in the next, repeating this 6 times overall for 12 stitches in the round. So single crochet and decrease. And again, single crochet and decrease, repeating this 6 times overall. Again, I just stop here and add a small amount of stuffing to avoid the bottom being quite flat. So now that you have added a little bit of extra stuffing, we will now be decreasing into each stitch, and this will give you 6 stitches in your round. So decreasing into each stitch. Once you've finished your 6 decreases, you will now be cutting the yarn. Leave a longish tail. So gently pull on your hook and that will tie off your work. So now we will be sewing the bottom shut. You can also add a very small amount of stuffing here. This is what I do. So grab the tail you have just cut and insert that into your needle. Now, beginning with the closest stitch on the left, you will be inserting your hook into that stitch. So insert your needle into the closest stitch on the left and fully pull your needle through. And you are going to be repeating that for each of the 6 stitches. So do the same for the second stitch, pull your needle through, do the same for the third and the fourth and fifth and the 6th one. And then what you will do is you will very gently pull the tail and the body will close. So what I like to do afterwards is I like to weave the tail through the body and then just cut it off. So just push your needle through and just get your scissors and cut the yarn tail off. And now you have made the body. So we will be sewing the wing along this jagged line so that you are not able to see it. So now we will get onto the wings. So for the wings, we will be making a 2 and we will be beginning in white yarn. So you will be creating a magic ring and single crocheting 6 times into it. You can use whatever method you would like to create the magic ring. I just prefer personally the chain 2 method, and that is the method that I teach in my beginner tutorial. However, as long as you are single crocheting 6 times into the magic ring, it doesn't matter what method you use. So now you have your magic ring, you will be increasing into each stitch. For the next round, you will be single crocheting into the next stitch and then increasing into the next, repeating this 6 times overall, so you should have 18 stitches in your round once you are done. So for the next round, you will be single crocheting into the next 2 stitches and then increasing into the next stitch, repeating this 6 times overall for 24 stitches in your round. And for the next round, you will be single crocheting into the next 3 stitches and then increasing into the next, repeating this 6 times overall for 30 stitches in your round. Now, this is the fun part. So what you're going to do is you're going to flip your circle over and you're just going to tuck that tail into the middle. Just make sure it's squished down. And now what you're going to do is you're going to pinch the wing together. So you're essentially folding it in half. And now what you are going to do is you are going to single crochet through the opposite stitches. So as I'm pointing out, you have the bottom stitch or the bottom stitch and then the top stitch, and you will be inserting your hook through both of them at the same time. So insert through the bottom stitch, and then insert through the top, yarn over and pull through, yarn over again and pull through, and you have single crocheted them sides together. You will be repeating this the whole way down the wing. So again, insert your hook into the bottom stitch and the top stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over again, and one more time, insert your hook into both, and then single crochet. So now the wing has been single crocheted together, you will cut your yarn, leaving a long tail to sew the wing to the body. Gently pull your hook, and this will pull the yarn through and it will tie off the wing. And make sure that you make 2. So now we will be sewing the wings to the body. And to begin the first one, we are going to be sewing along this jagged line so that we don't see it. So grab your first wing and take the yarn tail and insert it into the eye of the needle. Position your wing, and then insert the needle into the closest stitch on the body. This doesn't have to be perfect, but just any of the closest stitches when you position your wing where you would like it. And pull the needle all the way through. Then insert your needle into the next stitch on the wing and pull your needle all the way through. And again, inserting your needle into the closest stitch on the body, pulling through, and then inserting it into the next stitch on the wing and pulling through. And you will be repeating this the whole way down through the wing. So now that you have finished sewing, I will weave my yarn through the body and cut it off. So take your needle and just weave it through the body, just push it through, and then just cut the tail. Now you will repeat the exact same thing that you've done for the first wing on the other side. So now that you have sewn on your wings, we will now be sewing on the facial details. So we will be sewing on the mouth first. So grab some black yarn and insert the yarn tail into the eye of the needle. Insert your needle into a stitch next to the eye and push through so that the other end of your needle is poking through the next stitch next to the other eye, and pull through, but not all the way. Then insert your needle back into the same stitch that you started with. Angle your needle down so when it pops through it will make a triangle shape. And then insert your needle under the line that you have just created and pull through. This will make a little smile. And then insert the needle back into the middle lower stitch and just push your needle through the body. And I would recommend creating a knot here and then cutting off. So I usually just take my nail or my needle and I just fiddle about with the mouth for a little bit just so I get it how I want it to look. And then I am inserting the other tail into my needle and just weaving that also through the body. So I am tying a small knot and then I'm cutting off. And then I will just push that in very gently with the back of my needle. I'm doing the exact same thing for the other yarn tail. So creating a little knot and then cutting off and then just pushing that into the body using my needle. Now we will be sewing on the cheeks, so take some pink yarn and insert the yarn tail into the eye of the needle. You will be pushing your needle through 2 stitches. So just push that all the way through and then insert through the same stitches. So it sort of wraps around these stitches and makes a little cheek. So insert through it again, and this makes the cheek a little bit thicker. But make sure that your needle is weaved so that it will pop through to the other side, so that you can make the cheek on the other side. So push your needle through 2 stitches. And again, so that you can make your cheek a little bit thicker. So again, I am tying a knot and then I am cutting it and then just pushing this knot into the body using my needle. So I am now inserting this yarn tail into my needle and then weaving this through the body. And then again, same with the other side, I am creating a knot, cutting it, and then inserting it into the body using my needle. And you are done making your bee. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment down below or send me an email. Thank you so much for watching and subscribe for more.